Hi everyone, welcome back to Self-Care Sunday. Today is episode 9. We're going to start out, as per usual, we're going to start with a virtue from the Family Virtues Guide. And then we'll move on to an art therapy practice from this book. Again, this is episode 9 already, which is pretty crazy to me. Last week, we practiced courtesy. How did that go? What was that like for you? What was being courteous like? Was there anybody in your life who was super courteous? I don't know. I'd love to hear about it. And then today's virtue is creativity. And that's kind of the reason, to be honest, that I picked this art activity for today, because I was like, if we're gonna do the virtue of creativity, we should do some creating. So what is creativity? You are a new creation. No one has ever been born who is just like you, with your special combination of gifts and talents. Creativity is a way to use your gifts to bring new things into the world. Creativity is expressing new ideas and inventions, new kinds of music, dance, and art. It is a way to let the light of originality shine within you, shine out for the benefit of others. Creativity connects us with beauty. Creativity is the power of imagination. It is seeing old things in new ways and doing things in a way that has not been done before. So that is about what creativity is. And then it goes on and it mentions a little bit about why to practice creativity and how you could practice creativity. As always, if you want more clarification on that, let me know. I'd be happy to send the pages your way. And then we'll move on to signs of success. So congratulations, you are practicing creativity when you discover your gifts, when you use knowledge and training to develop them, and when you think of new ways to make things work better, when you use your imagination, and when you do things in your own unique way. And I love this last one. Also, when you take time for dreaming. So take that time to dream up. What are all the things that you actually want? What are your dreams? Those are creative things. And then we'll move on to the affirmation, which is, I am an original creation. I have special gifts and I'm willing to discover them. I take time for inspiration. I think of new and better ways to do things. I am happy to be myself. I like the last part. I am happy to be myself. Sometimes we're not always happy to be ourselves, but I feel like when you really get into the flow of creating something, it is really easy to just become so in the present moment and so mindful that it's almost impossible to dislike what's happening and dislike yourself, because you're so busy creating something new, and it's not necessarily about you. It's about the act of doing it. So I think creativity is a virtue that I have used a lot of in my life. I have a family member who is an art teacher and who's very lovely at that, and I have the benefit of having access to art supplies probably before I was ready. I was given markers and pens and crayons at a very young age. But I think it's important to note that if you don't feel like a very creative person, it's not that you are bad at creativity, it's that you don't have a lot of practice. So one of the reasons that I brought up that I was given access to markers at a really, really early age, and that's why I feel very confident in my creativity, is because a lot of people don't have that, and they are told right away that their art isn't good enough, and so they kind of give up. But the reality is that while there is potentially some amount of natural talent, creativity in general takes a lot of practice, and all of the virtues do. So if you don't feel strong in your creativity, just know that it doesn't necessarily have to be coloring or drawing or painting. There's a lot of ways to be creative. There's also acting and like live performance or poetry or writing, or any of those things are also ways of being creative. And if even that doesn't work, you can creative problem solve like math. Like, math takes some amount of creativity to get it to work and to get to the right answer. You have to kind of think, okay, what are all the different paths that I could use to get there, and what are the appropriate ones? So you are creative. It is within you. And if you're willing to give this creative exercise a try, I would love to have you join me. So we'll move on to the creative portion of the night. All you're going to need for this is a couple pieces of printer paper, maybe like 2 or 3, and then also some form of pen or pencil. You're going to need 2 things that can create lines on paper, or write or draw or whatever. They can be the same color, they can be different colors, whatever you want. I'm a crafty little nerd, so I'm going to break out my markers that I have, and we'll get started. So the first one that I bookmarked, there's a lot of really good things in here. I was kind of thinking about starting a series where we just do these art practices, if that's of interest to you. Love to know about that. I'll put it on hold for now, though. So the first one that I bookmarked is called Hand Drawing 1. And the reason that I picked this one is because it's more about the act of doing than it is about the end result. And I think that applies to both of the activities that we're going to do tonight. So just remember that if something that you made doesn't look super perfect and wonderful and exactly the way that you want it, that's okay. Because it's printer paper, you can get more. So this is about the act of doing. So if you have 2 markers, I'm going to choose 2 different ones because I think it's kind of fun to see the difference. I'm going to choose a pink and a blue because I like those colors. I like a lot of colors though. Okay, so we've got pink and we've got blue. You can pick whatever colors your heart desires. This says procedure. That sounds really like I don't know. I just think that's funny. It's not a word that we use in art a lot. Procedures are not usually a part of drawing. Draw with 2 hands at once. Okay, that's it. That's the whole thing. Do it. Go for it. Test it out. Draw with 2 hands at once. See how it goes. So I'm going to take my markers. I'm going to use the bigger end so that I can see it better. I can show you guys later. And I am very strongly right-handed, so we're going to see how this goes. If you're ambidextrous, congratulations, you're super cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to just, ooh. Just give it like 10 more seconds here. Yeah. Okay. That's it. I did it. I drew with 2 hands. Okay. And now we're gonna clap for ourselves. Yay, we did it! Just because I think that honoring the fact that we tried something new is important. Here's what I got. Here is my beautiful 2-handed drawing. What did I notice? So the questions for exploration are, what reaction did you have while engaging in this exercise? So think about that. What reaction did you have? Was it easy or difficult? Strange or uncomfortable? Or maybe it was really nice. Maybe you really liked it. Maybe it was super comfortable. I don't know. I think for majority of people, it's probably not. Did you create a specific image or an abstract design? I think maybe this counts as abstract. Definitely not specific. What theme, ideas, or meaning do you notice in your artwork? I'm going to put that one on pause and come back to that. And how does it feel to think outside of the box? So I think the first thing that I noticed, in all honesty, when I was doing this was I had a hard time keeping the paper still because I was drawing with both hands, and usually I keep the paper still with one hand and I draw with the other hand. And so I found it really challenging to make sure that the paper wasn't moving with my pens. I guess there was no reason that the paper couldn't move because I wasn't trying to draw something specific. I felt a little bit overwhelmed when I picked up both pens at once and I started to do this because I'm not used to drawing with my left hand, although I'm fairly confident drawing with my right. So I chose to go for something more abstract and more just like feeling how it goes and seeing what happens. I think that was really interesting. I think another thing that's really fascinating about that is we can train our brain to do quite a lot. And so the fact is that I just don't use my right hand very much unless it's for stability. So I use my right hand for stability and I use my left hand for stability because I'm right-handed, and then I use my right hand to draw. So I think it might be interesting if I try to draw more often with my left hand, just to give my brain something new and different to try. And I wonder if that would help over time with other things. Like, have you ever tried to eat with your non-dominant hand? It's so difficult. You think it's going to be easy, and it's totally not. So giving yourself little opportunities to try something super interesting and new can be a really good way to explore life. The next activity that we're going to do... Where did I put you? That's not it. Here it is. Okay. Food and mood. That's what this one's called. Draw a food item that represents a mood, feeling, or emotion that you experience periodically. For example, mashed potatoes for confusion, hot tamales for excitement, and depression is bland soup. So those are some examples. Food and mood. Okay, so let's start. Think about a mood, feeling, or emotion that you experience periodically. Okay. And then, what food do you think goes with that mood, feeling, or experience? Alright, and we're gonna take a couple seconds to draw that here. And it can be very rough. Again, don't beat yourself up if it doesn't look exactly realistic. It's absolutely okay to be representative. Also, if you feel very uncomfortable with drawing and you feel like you're having a lot of self-judgment with actually physically drawing, that's okay. You can either choose to push through that, or you can choose to write about the food and the qualities of the food. So is it cold? Is it warm? Is it mushy? Is it sharp? Like, what kind of qualities does the food have? You can also write about it in that way. Alright. And if you're not finished drawing yet, you can absolutely take another couple moments here. If you're watching this after I've recorded it, you can absolutely press pause. And when you're ready, we can come back to the next part of reflection. And these are kind of meant to be super quick and easy and just sort of more of an exploration than they are about the end product. So here's what I have. This is, I don't know if you can read it, Pop Rocks. I drew Pop Rocks. And the emotion that I connected to the Pop Rocks was anxiety. So I occasionally experience anxiety, sometimes more often than others, and it feels like Pop Rocks to me. It feels kind of gritty at first and then unexpected and just really overwhelming, and it's kind of the only thing that you can focus on. And it also kind of comes really quickly, and then it also goes really fast as well. So that's really interesting. It comes and it goes. So that's why I chose Pop Rocks. In what way does the chosen food item represent that mood? Is your feeling or mood positive, negative, or neutral? And your experience of those feelings can be positive, negative, or neutral, but I would like to keep an open mind about feelings that might be considered bad, because every feeling has a purpose and it tells you something about where you're at. And if it doesn't have a purpose, then it's still an experience that you're going through. So you can absolutely place judgment on it if you want, but sometimes it's easier to remove judgment, just because I think that all feelings to some degree are important. Now, obviously, if they go too far, that can be kind of a different story. But yeah, if you want to label it, I guess you can. How often do you feel this way? What are your mood triggers? Examples: work, relatives, overeating, not getting enough sleep, etc. And what time of the day do you feel your best and your worst? That's interesting. Do you feel better in the mornings? Do you feel better in the evenings? I guess the typical examples are like early bird and night owl. Early bird gets the worm. Early bird and night owl. That sounds right. Unless you've seen that meme that's like permanently exhausted pigeon. That's valid too. I feel that. I'm here with that. What is your comfort food is the last question. What is your comfort food? Did you draw your comfort food? Yeah. I don't know. I did not draw my comfort food. I actually cannot remember the last time that I ate Pop Rocks. But they're such a specific thing. It just sort of came to mind. Yeah. So that is the art experience for the day. Again, it does not have to be perfect. Here's my examples. I'll show them off one more time. I got Pop Rocks, and I got my two-handed drawing. So there we are. And on that note, that is everything for the day. So let me know how your creativity goes this week. If you do anything to kind of enhance creativity, if you try to practice creativity, if you have any creativity practices that you have been doing, I love to hear about those, because I think it's super fascinating, this idea that, oh, we're gonna get a spark of inspiration and then we have to do the thing. And a lot of the times those sparks of inspiration don't happen unless we're regularly practicing creativity to begin with. So when I tell you guys the amount of bad art that I have made could probably fill a truck, I genuinely mean it. I have made a lot of art pieces that nobody will ever see, and usually I wouldn't even show these kinds of things off, but I wanted to show that it's okay to just do something for the sake of doing it. So yeah, happy creating, as always. I love you guys. Bit of a shorter episode tonight, but I'll see you all next week. Okay, bye!